Okay, well, welcome viewers. Rev Dr. J.W. Morrison, radio's on, logged into Marine Rescue. We're going to talk on the subject of covert narcissism, emotional incest. Covert narcissism and emotional incest. Now, this is a real savage, fierce, what can look like to be a nightmare but turn out to be a dream. Look like a dream, but turn out to be an absolute nightmare. And it's got all the traits of narcissism. And look at those seagulls, viewers. Because what happens is you're covertly deceived into being conditioned to become a supply, usually a sexual supply, if you're any good at it. And that will wear off. And the way it wears off is the person that you're with will go overt. Now, I've met these women and their style of masculinity. They've been pumped, dumped, ran through, buggered things up for themselves. They've all been medicated or like a drink or two or love the weed or all. I've seen them morph from a casual drinker into more than what's acceptable to dope smoking. I've watched the dope smokers go from dope to cocaine onto whatever else they can get their hands on. And these people are malignant. They don't change. It doesn't matter how good life can look for them, what the possibilities of a good life is for them. They remain malignant in their destructive habits and destructive characteristics. You won't see how bad this is at the start. You just won't. And oh goodness, just thinking back at how horrible it is when you've got things in order and then all of a sudden this person's turning into a monster. And usually at the hands of a triangulation. It'll be, when it comes to emotional incest, you'll arc up about the behaviour of one of their adult children or all of their adult children. You can't tell because these people, they don't raise their children, right? That's for sure. They just don't. They can kid themselves all they like. And what they'll do is, they ain't going to fix that problem. They're going to fix you. If you don't relent, if you don't back off and you don't get involved, and the little enthroned golden child narcissist, malignant narcissist, if you don't engage that problem with the narcissist, then you're really going to stir the pot. Because the malignant narcissist, you're really going to stir the pot. Because the malignant narcissist, golden child, pedestalized, grandiose, idealized son, or sons, can be daughters as well, will be waiting for you to bite back. And if you don't bite back, they've got problems. They're left powerless because you're not engaging in the delusion that you're a bad person. And if you've done nothing bad, stand and hold your ground and watch these people go overt. If the person that you're with is a parent or an adult child and you're up against a parent, I was up against the children. If the parent does nothing, you're in big trouble. You need to really, at that point, from what I've learned, kick them out if they're living with you, send them with all their stuff, or tell them to go and take their stuff. They're not healthy people, and they're not going to become healthy just to suit you. They like the way they are, they like their emotional incest, and they'll just retreat back to that. And if you split up with them at, say, 9:30 on Sunday morning, they'll be on the internet at 12 o'clock Sunday afternoon, or something of that nature, hunting somebody else. If they haven't already, usually they've already got supply. Use supply. And in your spirit, you would have sensed this. I sensed this on both occasions. Something wasn't right. But you'll never know, because they have such a mysterious side to them. That's enough to drive you around a bend as well. Just a reminder, these waters are shark infested. You cannot swim in these waters. So I don't want to fall in. If I do fall in and I am hit by a shark, I do have the GoPro and hopefully the footage will go viral. But I don't expect for that to happen. These people, I'll tell you how it works, and not many people really do explain this part. They are genuinely looking for company at the start, because to one degree or another they've been starved of intimacy, or the intimacy that they've been receiving is corrupted or no good, or they've run out of relationship and been told to go. Same sort of behaviour. Don't think you're the first. Interfering children, stand over children, they bow down to these scrubs, because that's what they are. Bastard and bitches. And they're cowards, by the way. If you bring them into the light and expose them, they run in all directions. They're just cowards, hiding behind their medications and drugs and crap. And what will happen is, this is all, if you knew these people better, if you'd given yourself more time and knew these people better, you'd be able to tell within a week or two where this is all going to end up. But that's too easy for many of us. So, you're all in, plodding along. They're taking up the sex. This is what I'm talking about. They're getting their fill, to put it in layman's terms. And all of a sudden, they'll be filled. 3 months, 6 months. And everything changes. There's going to be a drama. You'll notice there's a drama. It'll be one of the children, or there'll be a blow-up of some kind. And the dynamic of the relationship will immediately change. Your system starts to move when you're exercising. And what will happen is, this is the first sign that you're in trouble.
Good boy.
This is the first sign that you're with the wrong person.
Good boy. Good boy. Good
As soon
boy.
as that first evaluation shit test happens, you should disappear and never go back. Because they're testing what you'll tolerate, what you want, how strong you are, how weak you are, how desperate you are, how secure you are. And the only way you can respond to that is with disappearing and leaving. Leave. Leave that person to their sin, to their sinful nature, to their narcissism.
Good boy.
Now, if you're strong,
Good boy.
and you can perform at high level, you will confuse these people into what their values are. You can actually turn a narcissist
Good boy.
or a sinful nature person, evil sinful nature person, in on themselves if you're high potent A-grade supply, because they're not used to it. They'll actually go against themselves, and they'll go against the hostile family members to get as much of that supply as they can. After the first discharge, when they go on that moment of shit test and you disappear, that changes everything, because these people are grandiose, idealised, in this case females, who for the most part are being chased after and spoiled, and then either kicked to the curb for their behaviour or the interference with their children, or have abandoned the situation because the men can't perform on a continual level that they require. It's all bent and twisted. I mean, these people, they're completely dysfunctional. When you retreat from the shit test, particularly if there's a family member involved, that's going to throw a spanner in the works, because you've immediately disempowered the delusion, the fantasy. And you've made the statement, I ain't buying into this fantasy. I don't want nothing to do with the fantasy. And that causes a derision in the household. You'll be separated from the house. That'll be the retaliation from the family member, but the person that you're with, in my instance, she wasn't going to have me back there either. We'd sold her out straight away. I knew straight away this person was going to be trouble, because she was rebelling against the golden child who she'd enthroned as the male of the house, and he couldn't even fucking look after himself, let alone anybody else. So he's whinging, mummy, mummy, I don't want him here anymore. He's taking your attention away from me. The other ones are the same. They're all the same. I'm not just single and they think they're unique. You're not unique. It all goes exactly the same way, you fools. You need to learn. The narcissists are all the same. It's the same pattern. It's the same whinging. It's the same idealism. It's the same destructive behaviour, and it ends up with the same result. They usually end up with somebody else by the end of it, because they can't get past your standards. So they go for lower hanging fruit, someone they can whinge to and justify themselves with and weaken themselves with. They just become weaker, weaker, weaker and weaker. Now, if you're aware of this and you're trained in human psychology, which is where these people underestimated me, I'm trained in the evil nature, sinful nature of man. I could see step by step exactly what was going on and telling these people where it was headed, and they were spectating themselves to the point, to the pinpoint. But the emotional incest paralyzes them from bringing anything productive out of it for the relationship, because your relationship with that person as an outsider is contrary to the culture that these people are used to, which is everybody is going to live around me and my mini husband, my son. Well, sorry about that. No, we're not. But you can. I'm not. And they condition you to come in runner-up to the emotional incestual authority. Now, I've watched this play out firsthand. I don't need to read books on it, although I do. I've watched it play out firsthand. I've watched it, I've studied it, I've watched it, I've seen it. And this woman will use, in the spiritual coversion, right? This is deep spiritual coversion, right? These people are stuck, and they'll do everything they can, as subtly as they can, to make you conditioned to coming under the authority of the mini wife, the old woman wife, and the enthroned golden child as the head of the house. And there's usually a scapegoat in the background somewhere too, who'll run to the rescue of the golden child. These golden children, these sons, these mummies boys, they really are. They need help. And what they don't realise is it's the mother that's done it. It's mummy that's caused it. So when you don't engage the shit show, the conflicts that they're trying to get you involved in, and if the parent doesn't pull it into line, or the person you're with doesn't pull that family into line, from my experience, you need to leave straight away. You need to pack up your stuff or pack up their stuff and send them off to their partner, which will be mummy or the son. Just send them home. Tell them to fuck off. Get your stuff and fuck off. Because underneath it all, they are blaming you. They're in collusion with the family member. If they're not fixing it, they're in the collusion with the family member, and they're testing your patience and tolerance to see how far you'll go. That's the evil of it. They don't even know they're doing it. That's the covert narcissism playing out. You have to understand it. This is how stealth, how magnificently stealth these people are. And if you can't discern in the spirit, if you haven't got the Holy Spirit and you're walking with God in all this, these people will take you out, man. But you should see it when you're on it, how pathetic it is. Because they're completely self-unaware. They don't realise, even if you tell them, that you're reading this situation for what it is. Even if you tell them. You can stand there and be telling them, look, can we fix this? Can we look at that? And you sound like a fucking nag. Sorry for swearing, but looking back at it, you sound like a nag, but you're not. These people are reflecting what they've been used to in the relationships they've had before you. They've been completely spoiled, viewers. They don't know what it's like to resolve. They don't know what resolve is. I just had an ex-girlfriend, I don't know what you'd label her, sending stupid messages to herself, because they weren't to me. I didn't even know. I'm asleep half the time. And I said to her, you're a malignant, malicious fucking text messenger. And this is the sort of person that'll send, when they're running hot, 30, 40, 50, 60 texts at a time. Now we've got all that stopped. How yous going? Good. It's one of the best views in the world, that view. And so you've got to pull these people into line. You've got to. You might be the only person that's showing these people where they're going wrong. I always said, I'll tell you how it is, even if it costs me the relationship. Life's too short. It's as simple as that. We're either fair income or we're not. And you'll find, in the long run, most people aren't fair income. They don't know how to be. They haven't been shown. They've been spoiled, misled, deceived, used, told lies. When somebody comes along that's genuine and A-grade supply, they can tell something's different. They don't know exactly how to explain it. They're infatuated. You're watching them and they're infatuated, sucking it up like a sponge, but unable to change, unable to adapt, because a lot of them are too old. I'm 57. The youngest I've had would have been just before the last one. Should have been 32 or something, but I didn't hang around with her. I got rid of her straight away. These people are old people. They're not going to change. They're set in their ways. And if they can't see the value, they ain't changing for no one. They'll keep drinking their drink, they'll keep taking their medication, they'll keep smoking their weed. And they'll deal with things like they always have, and that's usually no resolve and an affair, or at least an emotional affair, which usually will turn to a physical affair, which justifies them into being a victim. They blame you, and that's their resolve. That's the mentality of the narcissistic resolve, malignant narcissistic resolve. And they just keep doing it until they end up on their own, too damaged to have another relationship. They're just too damaged. Another relationship ain't gonna happen. And that's why I always teach my viewers, you have to be 100% sober, clear-minded, no alcohol, no drugs, no medications. Have your life in order, have your job, get off your ass and get a job, good job or a career or a trade. And just keep it simple, man. Because this world is full of people that haven't made the effort to have values that matter, to be able to fix things the way they need to be fixed. They only do what suits them, and that doesn't work for anyone. You need to be on a good diet, exercising, which I'm leading by example. I'm going to start putting my food on just to show you how simple and healthy it is. I was doing the beggar's buffet, but I just haven't had time. I'm not sure if that camera's picking up the freight train coming in, headed to Newcastle from Sydney. Well, I wouldn't know where it's come from or where it's going, but it's gone through Sydney and it will go through Newcastle. Could end up anywhere. We've also got the salvage crane coming in. They go around picking up all the boats off the bottom, and they're a good crew. That's Captain. I just call him Captain. I don't know his name, but you'll see them coming into the screen now as we head to the point here. It could get a bit bumpy with them going past, actually. And There are people out there that couldn't care less about your relationship. And these people usually are the ones that are in it. Captain? These people usually are the ones that are in it. And they just jump from one person to the next until nobody will have them, and they're psychologically unable. They just build up such... Look at that bird there, viewers. It's all good. They just build up so much damage within themselves. The Bible says they lose heart and are given to a debased mind. And once you collapse into a debased mind, you just haven't got the energy to do anything. These are the people that end up prostitutes or being abused. They lose discernment, they end up with the wrong people, they get robbed, sexually abused, murdered. And their addictions and their habits betray them. Their thinking betrays them, their children betray them. They look back over their life with regret and remorse. And I honestly believe that's why Judas was put into the Bible. It had to be that way, to teach people that while he was set up, look, I'll quickly tell you, Judas was set up. He didn't do that on his own. All the disciples knew what he was doing. And the evidence of that, you go, how? No. Oh yeah. Why did Peter and James say, shall we take our swords to the Garden of Gethsemane? They knew what Judas was going to do. They knew who he was going to get and where they were going to meet. And Judas said, he who lives by the sword dies by the sword. And rebuked them, because they'd been watching all the kind, miraculous, loving healings and things. And the next thing, these guys want to front up with swords because they thought Jesus was going to take over the Roman Empire with his power. They didn't realise that he was going to be crucified, the extent of the way in which he'd die. And so you say, no, not true. Well, why did you... Not true, eh? Why did Peter cut off the servant of the high priest's ear and Jesus had to put it back on? Because they knew what Judas was doing. They knew those people were coming. Judas wasn't alone. He was just the scapegoat, viewers. They were all guilty. But they were all guilty. But Judas, being silly enough to go out in front and make it happen, was given the name the Son of Perdition. He later hung himself. He hung in the tree for that long, his entrails came out, and they called that place Akeldama, field of blood. Don't ever isolate the evil leader from his flying monkeys, because the flying monkeys will get away and not be accountable for their part. And that's what they love. They make out their allies with the person that's wrecking everything. But when push comes to shove, they all run and nobody takes accountability and responsibility. That's why Jesus challenged Peter. Do you love me, Peter? And there's a lot more in that, in the language. But you'll have women say to you, I love you, but you know by their actions they don't. They don't realise you're empowered with the discernment of the Holy Spirit. Hopefully you are. Usually when they finally do say I love you, that's your warning sign to go into red alert. Because it's completely out of character and not in flow with the way they've been treating you. And when things are getting tough, they will come out with the I love you, because it's to divert you from what they're really doing behind your back. Open your eyes. You've got to learn to watch things unfold via the spirit realm, not by word or deed, via the spirit realm. Otherwise, you're going to get completely wiped out, and I've seen it with my own two eyes. I've had to tell the last two to leave. Their behaviour was so appalling, so disgusting. They had no self-awareness at all. And just on this wharf yesterday, by coincidence, the vendetted bully daughter looked very miserable, sitting on the wharf here all on her own with some letter. None of my business, and I couldn't care less what it was. And I just said, keep up the good work. And I meant it. If that's as good as you can do, keep it up, honey, because karma is a bitch like you are, and it knows where you live. Do not enable these wicked, evil, well, this wicked, evil generation, as Jesus would put it. Confront things and see it for what it is and call it what it is. This is Rev Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist, Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. Thank you for joining me. Subscribe if this has helped you. Subscribe, like, share. And comment, most of all comment, because it helps me to do talks on what you say. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.